All right, hey everyone, it is 9:36 on your Monday. Hunter Hoagland here with Tracy Cornett. Beautiful skyline tonight, but boy, is it sure cold out there.
It is so cold. It was so cold this morning. We've got another cold one tonight into tomorrow, and then light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure, we're almost there. It's going to be close to 70 this weekend. There's a big polar plunge going on Saturday that we're going to talk about in the newscast. A lot to break down, though, here today, really starting with just the unrest going on in Mexico. I'm sure many of you have been following it. So over the weekend, Mexican troops, they took out one of the cartel's biggest leaders, which was huge. This guy was a fugitive. The states had wanted him for a long time. Very dangerous guy who was responsible for trafficking tons and tons of drugs here into the United States. So this is being hailed a huge win for many countries who are forced to deal with this, but it's causing major problems right now south of the border.
Yeah, the retaliation has been terrifying. You've seen the pictures, and because Mexico is such a hotspot for vacationers, and of course a ton of U.S. folks down there on vacation in Puerto Vallarta in particular. I mean, we have seen fires, explosions. We have seen basically tourists on lockdown, stuck in their resorts because there's been no real security if you're not inside a resort. And then the retaliation here, 25 National Guard members there in Mexico gunned down.
Right.
And then apparently a Mexican government sending an additional 2,000 troops to restore control. It's just one of those things that's hard to wrap your head around as an American citizen.
It's a nightmare. And speaking of American citizens, we have quite a few of them down there traveling. This is a popular spring break time for many people. And so many of them are now being told, do not leave the resorts, right? Just beyond the gates, there's unrest. We're seeing cars get burned, buildings damaged, bullets going through different pieces of glass. So
airports don't seem safe. Even
right,
getting
flights
to the
are being
airport,
canceled.
That is scary.
It's a real deal. So we've talked to a couple Nashvillians who are stuck down there in Puerto Vallarta, and they just talk about what an absolute mess it is. So I'm going to play a little bit of her soundbite, and then we'll talk about it right after.
Start off, could you just say and spell your
and to any friend's vacation?
I'm going to fast forward for y'all real quick.
And this is with our digital producer.
This
interview with this American citizen down in Mexico.
We had during that time as well contacted taxi services, Uber services. Everything was shut down. There was no way to get back to our hotel. We had contacted the hotel people, and they're like, unfortunately, the situation that we're in, we cannot risk you guys and us sending out a taxi. That's the safest place. And at that point, we just had to make that conscious decision. All our stuff, our passports, everything is at the hotel. We need to make it back to the hotel. There's a group of 7 of us. People were simultaneously doing a lot of things, contacting the embassy, letting them know about our whereabouts, where we're at, and what we need to be doing. And that 30-minute walk that we had to do was very eye-opening. We saw a lot of things. We saw helicopter choppers. We, at that point, realized this situation is very dire and very serious. And once we made it back to the hotel, we're being greeted. And I'm very appreciative of the hotel staff because no one expected this. No one expected this to happen. No one expected all this civil unrest to happen, and we're very appreciative that the hotel staff are present and that the hotel staff have been taking care of us as well. So it's just been one of those situations where no one expected this to happen. Now we're in this situation. Flights are getting canceled. We don't know how long we'll be allowed to even stay at this hotel. We don't know if our flights are canceled. We haven't heard anything back yet as far as that goes. So I think what's more scary for us is the unknown. The unknown is yes, we're here. We feel safer at the resort, but we have a flight to catch. We have to go back to our real lives. A lot of us work. A lot of us are at school. I'm currently at school. I currently go to Meharry Medical College, and I just don't know when I'll be able to even board a flight and make it back home safely.
Just wow. they don't even know when they'll be able to get back. So a student at Meharry Medical College, they have exams coming up, Tracy, and she just says as of now they're stuck, right? They're scared. So many flights in and out are being canceled because it's not a danger or it's not a safe place to fly into. And so a lot of Americans are just kind of scrambling right now, figuring how to get back home.
It'll be interesting to see what our government does to possibly help them get out, and they will. They will. It's a matter of time. But this guy's name, by the way, El Mencho, if you're familiar with any of these drug cartels, I hope you're not.
Right.
But that is the one who was shot and killed. And so there's no clear successor in this particular cartel. So they're saying it could trigger power struggles within the cartel and then continued instability. And we're talking about a World Cup that Guadalajara is a part of. So there's, international interest here to make sure that it is safe. But especially for those stranded there on a vacation where, Puerto Vallarta is one of those top places. I always think of it's the locale of so many old school television shows that you kind of start hearing that name so much that you think it's almost a part of America. It's
I know.
So close.
No, so many of those areas, and we're going to have a full list on our website of just the different travel bans, places obviously right by the border. Those are being closed off. Cancun, I believe, still safe for now, but even then they're still advising people, be really careful because you don't know how far this is going to spread around there.
I'm so curious if the airlines are refunding money or if resorts are giving their money back. Because,
Nightmare.
Hunter, a lot of times we do like these stories and present them earlier on our newscast. So I know you were showing that map. I was stunned to see that Cancun was still blue. A safe zone.
Right.
But for now, who trusts that? I don't know if anyone wants to trust that.
No, and even though, this just happened yesterday, and so I'm sure the fallout will continue for days to come, if not weeks. We're talking about the cartel retaliating. So very real issue. We're going to hear more from her tonight at 10 o'clock, along with another man who's also stranded in Puerto Vallarta. He says it got so bad there, people at the resort, right, the workers outright just left.
They're like, we're taking care of our families.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
See ya.
So we're going to hear from him as well and just really break this down coming up here in about 18 minutes on the main channel.
All right, and that's just one of the stories. We also have an interesting story with our Steve Mailing, who's covering a woman who had to have or wanted, and this I think is where the discussion is. She went to a Catholic, one of the largest Catholic hospital systems, and there's a local hospital here in Nashville. It's part of that Catholic system that doesn't do a lot of things that are against the Catholic teachings. And so this woman wanted to have a sterilization procedure, is essentially what it was ready to go under surgery, had the esthetician there and everything, and then knock, 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 sorry, we can't do this.
You mean the anesthesiologist, right?
The anesthesiologist was ready, right?
Yeah.
At the bed.
And I think she had an IV in too, and all of a sudden they came in, and they said,
sorry, no bueno, you can't do this here.
And they referred to just the ethics board or commission, whatever it is that sits with this hospital, and just said that is against their views to sterilize a woman. So our Steve Mailing, he talks to her, he gets the hospital side. Very interesting story.
It is so interesting, and to learn how to make those decisions. How do they even find out about in the end? So there's a lot of questions still in.
To go through just all of that, you wonder with billing too. It's like, did someone not notice this procedure was on the books prior to, hey, this woman has an IV in her arm, and now we're forced to tell her we can't do it.
Who forwarded her to that hospital in the first place?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So anyway, that's a fascinating one that's going to have some legs, I think, too.
Sure. And then Dan, again, he's going to talk about the cool down again tomorrow morning, but then eventually the warm up that we're all looking forward to later in the week.
Yeah, so all that and more coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll see you in about 15 minutes.